to build a business of residual income. And if you're paying attention to the title, you see that this is part 6 of 7. So if you missed the first 5, go back and rewatch previous videos. And I do have one more coming your way shortly. So I'm very excited to be with you guys today. I just always assumed that I was going to grind it out, that I was going to just live and work really, really hard day in, day out from sunup to sunrise. And then, hopefully maybe have enough money in savings by the time I hit retirement age that I will be able to actually retire. And then I started noticing a trend among my parents, a trend among their friends. And I started realizing that that is not really a reality for most people. And, even in my life, when I was about 30 years old, I started realizing that I was working really hard, really long hours, and there wasn't much time for anything else. And I was kind of like scratching my head going, okay, I make good money. Like what else is there? Right? So this was something that was, it kind of boggled my mind, right? You go through school, you go through college, you do all this hard work, you get a great job, and then to know that that's what you have ahead of you for the next, 30, 40, 50 years before you're able to retire. Just the daily grind, right? Which is good. If you love what you're doing, that's okay. And I did. I totally loved what I was doing. However, questions started coming up like, how am I ever going to be able to afford to put away money for retirement? How am I ever going to be able to go on like a long vacation? How am I ever going to be able to start a family? And those were the questions that were in the back of my mind, because I always felt at the end of every month, even though I was never really like frivolous with my income, at the end of every month, I just felt like there wasn't enough money. And then I launched my own online business back in 2008. I want to talk to you about one of the most important things I feel it is hands down most important in order to create a business of residual income. Now, many of you may go, well, what do you mean by residual income? I mean, a business that continues to work. It continues to bring in money and pay the bills, even if you are not physically there to work the business. Now, this is like the type of business where you do a lot of the grunt work up front, and then you can kind of sit back and coast for a little while, and then you go back in and you dive back in, which is nice because you get to take breaks, you get to take vacations, you get to take time off when your kids have special things, you get to take it easy in the holidays, all those things, right? You create your own schedule and you decide when you want to work. I love this business model. I never thought it was in the cards for me to work from home, to work part-time, to be a full-time mom, to basically vacation several weeks out of the year. I never thought that was in my cards. What's really cool is when you find a business that you enjoy doing, then the people that you work with become like family too. And it's like your extended network, your extended family. What is your ideal life, right? The company that you represent, I'm in a network marketing business. Many people I know do multi-level marketing as well. It seems like everything is going to that business model because it works. It's like the harder you work, the more you get paid. Fabulous. It is such an awesome way to make an income. But the problem is most people don't know what they're doing. So 90% of the people end up just going, I'm just going to stay on for the discount, or I'm just going to kind of coast, or, they don't really understand the full potential that having a multi-level marketing business has to offer you. When you decide to become a home business owner, you are CEO of your own company. And that is the one thing that I owned from day one, from signing on the dotted line, from joining to be a distributor. I decided I'm a business owner. And I'm going to own my business. If I don't work my business, I'm going to own that. If I do work my business, I'm going to own that. If I do something and it doesn't work, I'm going to own that. But I also really want you to understand something that I took very serious in the beginning too. And I think that this is where a lot of people fall short, is that you need to have your goals. You need to have your own goals. Your goals lined with your personal values are what's going to keep you in for the long haul. Now, a lot of people, what they do, and there's nothing wrong with this. If you're new to goal setting, or if you're like, I don't really know what I want, then what you'll do is you'll take the company, because the company will set up goals for you. They're going to say, here's these benchmarks that you should hit in order to know that you're climbing the ladder, in order to, know that you're on the right track. Here's certain benchmarks that you should hit. And I'm going to say, always start with those. That's a fantastic way to get started. Let the company kind of set up the goals for you, because in almost every network marketing business, they'll have ranks, they'll have levels, they'll have all those things kind of set out for you. And that's because they're not new to this type of idea. They know that if you do these things, then you're going to get these results. Those are beautiful ways for you to know exactly how to set goals, is to use that. But I also want to encourage you of one very, very, very serious thing, is you need to have your own set of personal integrity rules. Because if you are going for goals that are, yes, they are the company's benchmarks, you know that if you follow those rules and those guidelines, and that they sit, you know that those are the ways to success. However, something in your gut is telling you, I don't want to work on Sundays. This is intrinsically against who I am. And in the beginning, I gave that up. My mentor said 7 days a week, and then the next mentor I had said 7 days a week. And, to be honest with you, that did not feel good to me. It did not feel good to me. I wanted a day of rest. I believe that God created a day of rest for a reason. And, I think that that's really important. I think that it's important for avoiding, that this is just an example, but important for avoiding burnout and a lot of other things. I'm going to do 5 days a week, but I'm going to take the balance of what I should have done during those other 2 days, and I'm going to tack them onto the previous 5. That made me feel so much better. I get a break. I got more time with my family. I got time to kind of like rejuvenate myself, right? And get my juices flowing again. That's really important. So I want to reiterate, your goals are your goals. Your values are your values. Your integrity is your integrity. And honestly, at the end of the day, your integrity is simply this. It's like, what are you willing to do or not do if people aren't watching you? And this is one of the reasons why this is such a tough industry to be in, is because you're not going to fire yourself. No one's looking over your shoulder. Nobody's holding you accountable, unless of course you're smart and you build layers of accountability within your business. Maybe you have a partner, a business partner, somebody that you joined with possibly, that they're right there with you and you guys hold each other accountable. My first 2 years in this business, those were like my running years. Like, I sprinted. And one of the reasons was because I had a huge amount of debt I wanted to pay off. Another reason was because I knew if I really put like everything I had into this for the first 2 years, then it would set me up for the next several years. So I've been doing this since 2008. And that has been the case. It builds slow, but usually in a business like this, within 2 to 5 years, you should be making 6 figures if you're consistent at it. Not if you start and stop, not if you're in for 1 minute and out for 5. Doesn't work that way. I'm talking about consistent work. So I really sprinted at it for 2 years, and it did. It set me up for some really nice momentum. We've been able to ride that ride. I was able to take time off with both of my sons when they were born, so that I could kind of sit back and enjoy like figuring out being a new mom and learning about my new baby, all those things. So it's been fantastic. I love this type of business, but I also know that, if you don't shift your business goals along with how your life shifts, then it can make you pretty miserable. So I had to put my business goals not on hold, but I needed to scale them back a little bit when I had a newborn, because I was only sleeping a couple hours a day, so I needed to give myself grace in other areas. Now, in the beginning, building this, really running at it, I went at it with everything I had. I didn't give myself as much grace. But once you have the ball rolling, you have things going, you can do that. So you need to constantly check yourself and say, is this in line with who I am and who I want to become? And, sometimes that might mean, doing late night phone calls, even though that's not your forte. But that's the only time that a new prospect can get on the phone with you. So you're like, okay, I'm going to do it. Because sometimes you have to put that big goal ahead of your comfort, your own comfort and your own personal desires. So just knowing like, okay, intrinsically, like who I want to become, is this in line? And knowing that, and knowing that person that I want to be, is this just something that I should do just for a little bit of time? Or is this something that is really interrupting my sleep or really interrupting my time with my kids? You need to constantly revisit that, because when you work from home, what can easily happen is you're always working. And so I don't want that to be you. I want you to be somebody who knows how to set up boundaries and guidelines, and I want you to feel good about what you're doing, because at the end of the day, I'm trying to help you build a business of residual income. The only way to do that is to build a business that can last. So you can't be in something that doesn't feel good internally. So you got to be able to match that up and say, okay, where do I need to tweak this, or where do I need to do that? So I try to do that with all of my coaches. I try to set up their own benchmarks and work with them on getting to their own goals. That is really important to me, because I've worked with people who they're just trying to get me to achieve something because it's going to give them a leg up. And the most rewarding thing in the world, I think, is to help somebody create a business that's going to last them long term and is going to give them freedom. That's ultimately why I do this. That is why I do this, because I want people to experience the same freedom that we have, my husband and I and our kids. I want people to experience that same freedom. So if you like this, then definitely stay tuned for part 7. I'm super excited to bring you part 7. And if you have not yet seen part 1 through 5, you can go back and check those out. So I want to say thank you again for joining, and I hope that you have a fantastic day. Take care.